The impact that A.J. Brown has, you think, on Dallas Goedert and also on Devontae Smith. Who do you think he has the bigger impact on this year in this offense?
Probably Devontae Smith, because first and foremost, he's a wide receiver, uh, but a wide receiver with a lot of ability to run after he catches the ball. He's 226 pounds, and he can bang into people. He's going to help the tight end too. He's going to help the whole offense. But I think if you say he will take some of the pressure, they're not going to be able to double up or triple team Devontae Smith the way they did at times last year.
Let's get to let me say this to you here. So this week we've had them all on here, man. We've had Gary Cobb on Monday. Brian Westbrook was with us yesterday, and on Thursday we're going to have Mike Missinelli, and we're going to have Keith Jackson on Friday. So it's training camp time, and the only guy that I can think of that has covered pretty much for the last 50 years the Philadelphia Eagles. This has got to be one of the most hyped years in Eagle history. Let's bring on the golden voice of the Philadelphia Eagles and the legendary voice, our friend Merrill Reese. He joins us now. Merrill, I don't know about you, but did you like my comparison on the Cowboys? They're the Kardashians of today.
It's interesting, that's for sure.
Merrill, the hype on this team, man, are you comfortable with it?
I don't pay attention to it. I honestly don't. I think it's great that everybody's excited about this team. It's easy to understand why they're excited about this team. However, you can go back to 2017 when they won the Super Bowl, and there was none of this kind of hype going into that season. Listen, I'm excited. I love what they did. I think that Howie Roseman did a great job in the draft. I think he filled a lot of spots that needed to be filled. However, I've used this expression with you before, Dan, and it is the fact that the NFL is a war of attrition. And a lot of things can happen between the time they open the season in Detroit and the time they conclude that season. It happens on the injury front. It happens with players who outperform their expectations. There are players who you expect a lot from, and they have underwhelming performances. So there are so many things that can happen that I'm not about to start using those two words, Super Bowl, or one word, whatever it is, right now. I'll wait and see.
You know, Merrill, I brought this up with Seth Joyner last week, and just your take on it, because you've seen so many different rosters over the years. You know, I was explaining to everyone here that when you bring in a lot of new faces, and I was using language as a barometer here, like you bring in a guy like a James Bradbury, you bring him in, he knows French. You bring in Hassan Reddick, he knows Portuguese. You bring in this particular player, he knows German. My point is that the terminology and every different system has different techniques, has different systems. Do you concern yourself, Merrill, that there are a lot of new faces, especially on the defensive side of the ball, that, again, I mean, with the limited practice time that they're getting, new faces, the expectations we need, like you said, to kind of ramp them down a little bit, because it's going to take a time for these guys to gel?
I'd be more concerned, Dan, if those new faces were on the offensive side of the ball, with the
Fair enough.
of A.J. Brown. I think defense is aggression. I think defense can be taught very, very quickly. And I think it's something that can be taken care of in the course of training camp in September, which is really what the preseason used to be. So I think the defense is going to be instantly better. That's not a big problem. What I like is the fact that Jalen Hurts mentioned today that this is the first time that he's been coached by the same offensive coach for 2 years in a row since going back to his high school days. I mean, he's had different offensive coordinators for 5 different years, and that's tough. But he feels comfortable now. I like the fact that to me is more important, that the quarterback be comfortable and know the system. And I think you're going to see a great gain in what he is able to do.
I've got to read this because someone just threw up some money here. Mr. Reese, I'm 44 years old. I just want you to know that you've made every Eagle game special ever since I was 12 years old, and I wanted to thank you. So this guy, he posted that. How does that make you feel, Merrill, that when you see somebody like that and they post something like that? I know it makes you probably feel old, but it's got to really be something that you're the voice that kids grew up with, watching and listening to Eagle games.
Yeah, but they're the fans that I was broadcasting to every week. And when you're in that broadcast booth and you hear that stadium vibrate and you hear that tremendous roar and you see how much they love that football team, it just propels you. So it's great to hear, and I certainly appreciate it. But I thank the fans. It's back at you because you inspire all of us.
The impact that A.J. Brown has, you think, on Dallas Goedert and also on Devontae Smith. Who do you think he has the bigger impact on this year in this offense?
Probably Devontae Smith, because first and foremost, he's a wide receiver, but a wide receiver with a lot of ability to run after he catches the ball. He's 226 pounds, and he can bang into people. He's going to help the tight end too. He's going to help the whole offense. But I think if you say he will take some of the pressure, they're not going to be able to double up or triple team Devontae Smith the way they did at times last year.
Miles Sanders, give me your assessment on him. I hear so many different opinions of him. Hey, the Eagles don't really, put a value on that position. And yet I look at a guy with a 5.0 yards per carry, and I see and Brian Westbrook goes like this, and I go, do you think he's a talented guy? He goes, oh my God, I think he's an exceptionally talented guy. But for you, Merrill, I mean, it just seems that he's spoken of as just another guy. You know what I'm saying? I mean, your assessment on Miles Sanders.
Well, he's a second-round draft choice who has played like a first-round draft choice. I don't have any question about the talent and the explosiveness of Miles Sanders. I think he's a special back. I have one reservation, and that goes back to the old Buddy Ryan adage that durability is as important as ability, and he has missed a lot of time with nagging injuries. He's healthy right now, but he has to be able to stay on the field.
Merrill, I would make this comment, and please tell me if you think I'm wrong. I mean, one of the things, if you want to help Jalen Hurts this year and you want to help Jalen Hurts start to increase as a quarterback in people's eyes, and also you want to see him develop into the player that we think he can be, they've got to improve their screen game. Backs have to be more effective on catching the ball. I mean, the one thing that Brady has and the one thing that Aaron Rodgers has, Aaron Rodgers is two backs, A.J. Dillon and Aaron Jones. They had almost 90 catches last year. Improving on the short game, helps the perimeter game. It helps play action. Do you agree that the backs that the Eagles have, that's got to be a point where they work on so that they can help the offense? Asking Jalen Hurts, Merrill, just to throw out patterns and seam routes, you're not going to have a high completion percentage if you're not going to be able to get a good screen game going. Brady made a living on that.
Yeah, and there's no reason why they shouldn't have a good screen game. Sanders was not the receiver last year, but he has those skills. Both Boston Scott and Kenneth Gainwell are good catchers of the football. So they ought to be able to use the screen game to their advantage this year. And you add to the fact that they just have a terrific offensive line. You set up that screen game, and Jason Kelce gets downfield like nobody's business, picking off tacklers. So it certainly can work.
You know what? And Merrill, covering the team now, I thought Kevin Mawai was a guy that got down the field on second levels, and I thought he was maybe the best center I'd seen probably since Ray Donaldson and maybe even Dwight Stevenson. But when you watch Kelce get down the field and you watch him get to third level stuff at year 12, he's clearly one of the best centers that I've ever seen play the position. So, I mean, there's no question. He's got to be one of the best O-linemen you've ever seen play there in Philly.
Oh, he is. He is. He's probably the best center I've ever seen. as a broadcaster. I mean, you want to go back 100 years and talk about one of the greatest Eagles of all time, Chuck Bednarik, who was the prototypical center and a Hall of Famer. But I don't think it's fair to go back to 1948 through 1960. That's a completely different era. But of the let's say the post 1980 era, where Guy Morris was the center for that team, this is Jason Kelce is by far the best, by far.
Well, just so you know, my uncle's Robustelli, right? And I asked Concrete years ago, I go, so what did you tell Gifford when you were standing over him after he knocked you out? And I didn't realize how salty Concrete was, okay? So he goes, Sills, I told him this effing game is over. And he did it live on the air, and I'm like, he is by far – I had that picture in my bedroom of him standing over Gifford, and every time Gifford would come over and see that, he'd go, oh, my God. I mean, just truly one of the greatest Giants of all time. Let me take you over to the head coach. Nick Sirianni had a Jalen Hurts shirt on today, talking about, hey, here's my quarterback. What are you making, Nick? Trying to make a little personality for himself. I like how the players gravitate to him, too.
That's Nick. He doesn't try to be anybody other than who he is. And he's a guy with a lot of personality. He's a guy who relates well to the players. He's a young, enthusiastic coach. There are areas this year where he will continue to grow with experience, but Nick is himself, and I like that. He doesn't try to be, Joe Cool. If he's excited about something, you see it. And he's very, very conscious of what the players think. He wants the players to be on board with everything, and he knows how to motivate them. That's very important.
Merrill, do you agree? And I said this here's the schedule. I wrote it down. I wrote out all the games this year. I don't care what anyone says. Got to beat Dallas. That's the benchmark for this team. Since the division title, I think 4 years ago, that's the last time they beat Dak Prescott. They've got to beat this football team here for this to be a successful year. I don't want to make it sound college, but that's your benchmark in this division, isn't it? You've got to beat this team.
Sure. If you want the Eagles to be the best team in the division, they have to prove it. The team going into the season, who most people pick as first in the NFC East, is the Dallas Cowboys. So if you want to be the best, you've got to beat the best. I think it's a two-team race.
Merrill, how many wins this year? 12, 13, 14? How many wins? I want Merrill Reese on record. How many wins?
Okay. I will give you a win total if you will tell me who will be standing when the Eagles meet the Dallas Cowboys on December 24th. Give me 18 of the 22 people.
Okay, so Merrill, you're asking me basically the same thing as this. Dan, I would rather give you projections on Powerball numbers than I would on one loss total.
I mean, are they a team capable of winning 11 or 12 games? On paper, they are, but nobody plays this game on paper.
Absolutely. Merrill, it is great to catch up with you. Thank you so much for doing this as always. I mean, hey, by the way, so are you going to be able to go on the road this year with the team?
Yes.
Are you looking forward to that?
I am. Sure. I'd like to be there, except for Washington.
That's right. Hey, by the way, though, that Washington game, are you looking more forward to the Washington game or the Jets?
I am. Yeah. The Hurts versus Carson Wentz. Of course I am. I just wish I had a better vantage point. That's all.
That dump that you call FedEx.
Well, you know what? I think the people who go there think of it as a dump too.
I think they do. Merrill, thank you, my friend.
Thanks, Dan. Take care.
You got it. The legendary Merrill Reese. I don't think anybody I've ever heard likes FedEx. Okay? Landover, Maryland. Hey, great job. Yeah. Great job at Landover, Maryland, man. Hey, big sales here for Morgan & Morgan here where the fee is free. Means this. They do not get paid unless you do. If you're hurt or injured on the job, there's only one law firm that will protect you and your family's rights. That's Morgan & Morgan. Look, for the last 30 years, They've collected over $13.5 billion worth of compensation for their clients. They're never going to go into a courtroom doing this. Hey, we're intimidated because they are the biggest. 800 attorneys strong in offices in Philly, New York, and in Florida are ready to do battle for you. Open 24/7, 7 days a week. Call them at 800-512-1600. That's 800-512-1600. Look, the consultation's free and the call is free. 800-512-1600. And when you call Morgan & Morgan, do me a favor, tell them Big Sills sent you.
When choosing a lawyer for your injury case, you may ask, does the size of the law firm matter? Well, of course it does. The insurance company, they're huge with unlimited resources. And whether your case is big or small, they're built to bully you out of the money you're owed. But here's the good news. We're big too, the biggest actually. And we're built to fight to make them pay for all that was taken from you. Size is our strength. There's only one Morgan & Morgan. ForThePeople.com.